the histories of the societies dominated by communism were also very significantly rewritten and reinterpreted. The idea was that the whole history should be presented along the Marxist principles, the Marxist doctrine, showing the historical process as the process of conflict between the class conflict between classes, and of course relations with Russia, relations with the Soviets, relations with the East was always seen as in very positive lights. In the Polish case, which I know best, and it's in many ways was a good example of this logic. The history was rewritten in such a way that Germany was presented as an eternal enemy of Poland, historical enemy, and Russia was presented as a friend, as an ally. Of course, more specifically, the Soviet Union was to be seen as the ally and the leader for the whole region and for the Polish people in particular. The state, of course, had the monopoly of education, with very few exceptions of schools which could be kept in some countries, in Poland specifically, in the hands of the Catholic Church. But even those church-owned schools were under very strict supervision of the state control. So it was very important for the communist authorities to create a new mentality, a new mind of new society, people of the communist society. On the other hand, it was never achieved, and what the communist regimes, communist authorities have not been able to fully achieve was the Orwellian type of society, the idea in which people are brainwashed to the extent that they are not even able to think independently. Control and censorship had to exist, and from the point of view of the state authorities, and were necessary in order to guarantee the at least tentative acceptance of reality, and at least what was particularly important, I think, in terms of the image of the communist society, even if citizens did not share the official views propagated by the Communist Party, they should not be able to express this different, dissident opinions and feelings. The picture on the outside had to be that of socialist society, happily marching towards a glorious future following the enlightened leadership of the Communist Party. So, in a way, there was a lot of attempts to create an illusion, to create an image which societies knew that they did not correspond with reality. The image which partly was addressed to visitors from non-communist world, partly was addressed to the leaders of the Soviet Union and of national communist parties, who often were not aware of the reality of life in their own countries. They believed in the reports and these images created by local leaders, by lower rank leaders of the authorities. But also, I think that what was very important was to create an illusion which would be presented to the citizens, to the society, as reality, to make them live in this imposed false picture, which although did not reflect the reality, but built a kind of a parallel ideological world of illusions and lies and false representations. So why it was done this way? Certainly, to some extent, the function of this creation of the mythical, illusionary reality was to make an impression on superiors, make an impression on visitors, but also another function could be to create a feeling of helplessness, to communicate to the people that even if what they see on television or what they hear on the radio or what is represented in official speeches of communist leaders, even if all this reality does not, does not contain any truth, and it's clearly false, but they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't rebel against it, and even if they did rebel, their voices would not be heard. So living in the communist world, one had a feeling, one had the impression that one lives in some fairy tale, not very happy fairy tale, but a story a narrative which did not really correspond with reality.